GymWits.
All right, so we have another Ask the Trainer this week. So,
Nice. Keep them
Justin,
coming, guys.
no, and we're getting some cool, like some good questions. So definitely, keep
we
them coming.
have.
So, what's the question for this week?
Okay. So, hi. It comes from Tamir. And Tamir asks, "Hi, Ryan, Justin, and Tony. I have a question about recovery. I'm 19 years old and I exercise about 5 days a week. I usually do 4 days of weight training, alternating upper and lower body. On 2 of the weight training days, I add some cardio. And then on the 5th day, I go for a long run. I've read that it's important to rest 2 days a week, but I can't help but feel as if I'm not training hard enough. Would it be bad if I add a 6th day of exercise during the week, or will the extra day lead to overtraining?" And thank you, Tamir, for writing in. We appreciate it.
All right, that's a good question. Um, you know, you, we're looking at a few things when it comes to overtraining. So it, the short answer is you can probably add a 6th day. Doesn't sound like what you're doing is bordering on overtraining, especially since, like, if you look at it, you're doing 4 days of weight training, so you have 3 days of rest from weight training, and you're doing 3 days of cardio training, so you're getting 4 days of rest from cardio, and then you just have 2 full days off. So as long as your body, part of it you'd want to think about how often, like, how long have you been doing this? Like, I would say that you're pretty young. So at 19, you can probably handle a lot. The way your workout program is structured sounds like you're in reasonably good shape to be able to manage that. So, I would just consider. So first thing I would think about now is, do you feel physically, like you're having a hard time on your off days, which it doesn't sound like it if you feel like you can do some more. So I guess the first part would be, um, how are you physically feeling now? And it sounds like you feel okay. So I would say, yeah, you probably physically are okay to do it. Uh, I would say, try adding an extra day. If it's cardio, it sounds like it's perfectly fine. If it's weights, even, it still sounds like it's perfectly fine. You might want to get a little more of a specific weight training program. If you're just alternating upper and lower, maybe you can start to be a little more specific on the body parts if you're doing more of a bodybuilding program. But I need a little more information on the specifics of what you're doing. If you're training for a sport, if you're training for aesthetics, if you're training for a competition or of some sort. But I would say at the stage you're at now, you're okay. I personally, I always recommend like 1 full day off, at minimum, and usually 2 full days off. But again, in your case, you're young, and it seems like you're splitting things up in a way that you can probably get away with adding a 6th day, or maybe instead of adding, really active, like weight training or cardio or conditioning, maybe use that data to, like we were talking about before, like trying new skills. Maybe practice a new skill or learn something that requires motor work, and kind of neuromuscular work, but maybe is not as intense, on the muscles or on the cardiovascular system. You can also think about maybe doing something like yoga, or like Pilates. So something that is a little more maybe restorative, or focused on control. So maybe think about trying something new on that 6th day, rather than just continuing with what you're currently doing. But from the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like you're doing too much, and you're not complaining about feeling like you're overtrained. So I would say you're probably good to go as far as like adding something on that 6th day. I just try to play around a little bit with what you want to do for that 6th day.
And it sounds like you enjoy working out.
Yeah.
So if that's something that you really enjoy doing, then it's probably something that's not a bad idea to do. I found that, not that I've gone for working out 6 days a week, that it could lead, while maybe it doesn't lead to physical fatigue, it could lead to some mental fatigue when it comes to working out. So another option is, you mentioned you felt like you weren't working out hard enough, that you weren't getting enough in. That another option is to potentially try to increase, and once again, you'd have to do this the right way, increase the intensity of the workouts that you're already doing.
Yeah.
So maybe it could be adding a few sets. It could be maybe upping the weight. It could be, there's obviously different ways to up the intensity, and maybe then you'll feel satisfied in the work that you're doing. Like, how intense are the workouts that you're doing? Ryan, what do you think is more bang for your buck? Doing the 5 workouts where maybe out of 4 of them you really push yourself hard. Maybe the 5th workout isn't as crazy, or less intense workouts, but on the like adding another day.
Uh,
Or does it always depend on the person?
a
As
little
you
bit depends on the person, a little bit depends on the program. So if it's, let's say, he's in more of a bodybuilding program where he's really trying to put on size, I would probably err on the side of more days a week, and slightly less intense. But generally, when performance is concerned, you're better off working harder, fewer days a week than you are at working at a lower level, but more. So, but again,
interesting.
it's a little bit more specific.
And
Um,
and once again, Tamir, I know that you're young and you can get away with a lot, as we all did when we were 19. But the better your diet is, and Toni isn't here right now, but there's certain definitely things that you can do, and that there's that are sort of general knowledge. Just make sure that your diet is in order, and it'll help you, especially if you choose that 6 day your diet, and of course your rest. You can get away with a lot when you're young, but it doesn't mean that you want to be eating bad food and not sleeping at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So
so great question. And the only other thing I'd add is if you add something and you do start to feel like you're overtraining, you do start to feel like you're overly exhausted, pre and post workout, you're lethargic, you've lost motivation, then you might want to scale back a little bit. But otherwise, yeah, thanks, Justin. Helped answer this question for me as well. And as usual, if you have questions, you can either submit them on the website, thegymwits.com, or email them to thegymwits@gmail.com.
GymWits.